Estate planning mistakes aren't often obvious until it's too late. Missing beneficiaries, over-control, and working with the wrong professionals can quietly derail even the best of intentions. Let's walk through the 3 biggest mistakes retirees make and how to avoid them.
Welcome to Label on Fire with Amazon best-selling author and Yields for You portfolio manager, Label Sternbach. Label on Fire is supported by our ETFs, Yields for You Strategy A, and Relative Strength Managed Volatility. Our mission is to help 1 million people retire with financial security. Now, the Financial Independence and Retirement Show dedicated to helping you build the life of your dreams as fast as possible with as little stress as possible. It's Label on Fire.
And today we're talking about the estate planning mistakes that no one warns you about. Label, hello. And why does no one warn you about these mistakes with regard to estate planning?
The estate planning ones, it's a funny one, right? Because it's estate planning is one of those things that the vast majority of people try to ignore, right? We don't want to think about our own mortality.
Yes.
Right. A lot of trouble focusing on it. And then also the kind of this weird thing happens is that the people who want to talk to you about mortality are usually life insurance salesmen, and not even very good ones, right? And so they come after you. They're like, buy a life insurance policy, buy a life insurance policy. But that's not an estate plan. I mean, it's a somewhat an estate plan. It's not really an estate plan. It's a financial continuity plan while you're younger and you've got people who are financially dependent on you as you get older. That, the needs shift, right? And oftentimes life insurance isn't like, there's a lot of other things in play. Not to mention that, I don't know, life insurance is just one piece of the puzzle, right? In fact, I would say probably the vast majority of my clients don't even have life insurance because it's not their phase in life.
That's amazing. So we mentioned in the title of our talk today is about the estate planning mistakes that no one warned you about. What are the 3 biggest estate planning mistakes or misses that retirees tend to make or overlook?
Yeah. So the biggest one that I think is, and this kind of goes into the category of overcomplicating things, right? Or assuming that having a life insurance plan is an estate plan, and it really isn't. The biggest mistake that I see people make is that they either don't have beneficiaries listed on their accounts, or they don't update those beneficiaries. And I'll explain what that is in a second, why it's so important. But we have this, the Supreme Court has ruled repeatedly that if you have a piece of paper between you and the insurance company, between you and your brokerage firm, between you and the bank, doesn't matter who, right? As long as it is a piece of paper that was signed prior to your death that says what should happen after death, that precedes death, right? And that it doesn't matter what your will says. What matters is that piece of paper that you had with that company that says, when I die, I want my accounts to go to so-and-so. And people they forget about them, right? Or they don't realize it, right? And so it's like, what often will happen. And I mean, this happened with my dad, right? My dad died, and he terminal cancer, right? He knew he was dying for 2.5, 3 years, right? He knew he was dying. He had been a financial advisor. His wife was a financial advisor. I'm a financial advisor. We all, right? We kept telling him, right? Like, we all knew what to do. We all told him what to do. And then as we were, as it fell on me as the oldest to kind of, settle his estate and make everything happen.
Sure.
Discovered, right, that he never filed his beneficiary forms, and his beneficiary forms were still, right, he had remarried. It was still my mother, not the new wife, right? And so she was left with nothing, right? And you might be like, oh, well, this is like an oddball case. It's not. I see it all the time, right? It happens all the time that the beneficiary forms don't get updated. And the thing is like, when I was going through his stuff, the piece of paper was there. It was signed. It was dated, right? Like shortly after he got diagnosed. He just never gave it to HR.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
So we're talking about mistakes, and that sounds like that was a pretty big one. And you said a pretty common mistake. So how does trying to control your assets beyond the grave hurt your family members, your heirs, your ancestors.
Yeah.
Well, not your ancestors, but your heirs.
So that, that kind of goes into the mistake number 2, right? So mistake number 1 is just not having people listed as beneficiaries and then trusting the courts to take care of stuff. Mistake number 2 is trying to put too much control on what happens after we die, right? And so people come to me and and it's interesting. It's either the super wealthy or the people who have nothing who want to do this. The people who are in between generally just don't try to do it. But it's something that, I really try to talk people out of. They'll come to me and they'll be like, I have this very complicated plan of who I want my money to go to. And I only want them to spend money on this or that. And I want to make sure that my kids, I gave more money to this kid than to that kid. And I want to try to even it out when I die. And there's this belief that if I create a trust, that somehow a trust will allow me to have this control after death. And it is one of the biggest mistakes. Or lawyers love promoting this, this misconception that trusts have this complicated power that whatever you write in the trust is what's going to happen. But the reality is it's not, right? The lawyers tell you that because that's the law. But we all know, right? Possession is 9/10 of the law. And when it comes to a trust, the person who's in possession of it is your trustee. And if the trustee decides, that they're going to do something else, the only way to stop the trustee from doing something that you didn't request is by one of the beneficiaries suing them. Which, do you think that's going to happen? Do you want your beneficiaries suing each other? Right? That's not what you want, right? So one of the biggest things that I try to talk people out of is controlling beyond death, right? Having complicated estate plans, right? Keep it simple. Try to make it so that the assets flow easy. Make it so that people know what's going to who and how it's going. The more you try to control beyond the grave, the worse you're making it off for everybody. The flip side of that which is mistake number 3, right? Is not thinking about the estate taxes, right? So it's with the Secure 2.0 Act, right? We have a lot of people come to us, they have huge retirement accounts. And so they're very focused on doing Roth conversions, which is great, right? You want to do Roth conversions. But the problem is, and it's easy to not think about this, is if your children inherit this or your grandkids inherit your money, they have to take it out within 10 years, right? So while you have your entire life to take out that account and to do strategic Roth conversions, they have 10 years to make that account zero. And then in year 10, they got to take everything out, which means the IRS becomes the biggest beneficiary of your retirement accounts.
Wow.
And that, funny enough, is creating a brand new industry for life insurance, right? It's
That's
because
amazing.
you can, maybe you pay the state taxes with the life insurance, and there is definitely a possibility for that. But it's, you gotta make sure that whatever plan you have, it's not just about who gets the money. It's not just about making sure to avoid probate. It's about making sure they receive it as tax efficiently as possible. Because one of those things with the trusts also is they get taxed at 39%. Right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So you got to be careful.
So what can we find at yieldsforyou.com that'll help us to navigate and not make these mistakes, Label?
Yeah, so they're yieldsforyou.com. In fact, this is one of our first guides that we ever created is the 5-minute estate plan.
Okay.
It's a very popular guide. I highly recommend you go through it. But I would also recommend, hey, take us up, right? Take us up on our free retirement tax SWOT analysis. And when you're doing that, I'm going to ask you to do something that a number of our clients have done, right? And if you are trying to create an estate plan or if you're actively dying, tell us, because that is a very different game than if you've got, in theory, 20, 30 years or however long left on your life and you're just doing a hypothetical, right? If you, it also a very different planning situation for you financially, for your spouse financially. It means that we try to do different things. And it also means that the accounts that you have, right, that we look at it and make sure that it transfers properly, but also figure out how we can make it advantageous so that from an estate planning standpoint, right? Because an asset that is going to be there in 20 years is very different than an asset that's going to transfer in a year or two, right? Very, very different planning goes into that. And there's you're not dealing with what is Congress what is Congress going to have the laws be in 10 or 20 years. You got to deal with the current framework. So anyways, definitely take us up on it. It's something that we love doing for our clients and helping them save as much money in taxes and provide that financial continuity for their loved ones.
We appreciate that. And the website, once again, is yields4u.com. Yields, the number 4, the letter U.com. So as you've heard today, estate planning doesn't have to be complicated, but it does have to be intentional to help you to avoid those mistakes. And avoiding these common mistakes can protect your legacy, your family, and your peace of mind. A few thoughtful decisions today can prevent a lifetime of problems tomorrow.
If you would like to see how the Yields for You team can help you get off the Wall Street roller coaster and save you money on taxes so you can live the life of your dreams, book an appointment online at yields4u.com or call 410-914-4894.
Yields for You is a registered investment advisor in the state of New York and only transacts business in states where the firm is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement. Information presented on this program is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. Discussion should not be construed as an offer to buy or sell or solicitation of any offer to buy or sell the investments mentioned. Annuity guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Content should not be viewed as legal or tax advice. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation.